A DeLorean is a lot like Marilyn Monroe. Everybody is in love with the legend, the shining, impossible ideal that the reality couldn't possibly match.
If I owed a nickel for each hearse, I'd owe 25 cents. But after driving through Barry, that'd be money well spent. Money well spent, money well spent. DeLorean like heaven with a honey hell bent. Sour 1 minute and the other sweet as candy till there's drama on your shore. Hurricane Sandy. But it's nice to have a car like this because we don't trust it'll ever work out, because it never does. Put this rap out of its misery, Jack Kevorkian. Time to do a new review of a new DeLorean. Make sure your work connection doesn't block this, and uncheck your ad blockers on Firefoxes. Cause we come in with the jokes and songs, and we be setting DMCs on fire like Blake Wrong.
No one really loves Norma Jean, but they all love Marilyn. But Norma Jean deserves love too, if not more than Marilyn, because Norma Jean was the real thing. Maybe the DeLorean isn't perfect, but that doesn't mean there isn't a car here that can be loved unironically. A DeLorean can be loved for reasons beyond the associations it invokes. When former Pontiac chief William T. Collins completed the first prototype in the fall of '76, it was clear that the DMC-12 would need to go through several phases before it was ready to play, like a late bloomer who needs growth hormones to kickstart puberty. The car was originally intended to have a center-mounted rotary engine, but this was changed to a rear engine in the production model. This was because Colin Chapman, founder and owner of Lotus, who was brought in to re-engineer the original design, was unable to get the rights to the original Wankel engine. So instead, he utilized some of his own company's material and techniques in forging the DeLorean as we would come to know it under the hood. As one example, the chassis is pretty much the same thing as the Lotus's Spree. However, in an interesting side note, and I'm not particularly sure this is 100% correct, but someone will correct me, the original DeLorean mid-engine sports car concept was later sold to Toyota, who would use it as the basis for the AW11. Whether that's completely true or not, I don't know, but it's wonderful to think that way. So why recount all this history? It's important to recognize that in a lot of ways, the DMC-12 seemed destined to never properly exist in its own era. And we all know the history, and we all know the problems with the engine, and we all know the problems in the factory, and we know that it was supposed to have 200 horsepower, but in the end it had 138, but so with this and back and forth. But enter the Stage-2. The Stage-2 engine and DeLorean rebuild comes from the DeLorean adopted company. You go from 138 horsepower to 215. New brakes, new suspension, new electronics, and all the old style is there, but everything has been reworked, refitted, and rebuilt. Matt has only put about 2,669 miles on this DeLorean at the time when we reviewed this, which sounds small, but it's for a reason. This was a barn find. This car was bought new and then put into storage for 29 years. This little car was indoors from 1984 until 2013? It missed it all. It missed grunge rock. It missed Informer by Snow. Prodigy, both the band and the internet service provider. Kazaa, Where's the Beef? iMesh, and Waiting for Boobs on a 56K modem. It's as if time stopped for this DeLorean, locked away. But it's here now. So what is it like to drive Matt Farah's DeLorean? Here we go. Oh, the door. Okay, you remember how the old doors on the other DeLorean we reviewed would open up about 3/4 of the way, but you had to nudge it up for the last quarter? This doesn't happen on Matt's car. You pull that handle and that door flies up. I mean, it flies right up, and when it reaches to the top, it does this little bounce. It's like it wants to go further. It just goes, oop, boing. Every seam is straight. Look for blemishes. Look for imperfections. You don't see any. And the power band doesn't have any dead spots. Oh, and it has low-end torque. This is the machine we could have gotten if DMC just had a few more years. Matt's Stage-2 is a lucid dream for all of us staring at fan art and scale models. But what happens when you wake up? What would happen if you owned a Stage-2? and dailied it. This is what would happen. You're driving your Stage-2 on a Saturday afternoon and you get a thirst and you want Troganator and you don't want it now, but it's early afternoon and this is Pennsylvania, so you're gonna have to get some now or you're gonna have to wait till Monday after work. You find a distributor and you have to buy a case because case laws. And you're walking back through a strip mall parking lot when you see it. Not your car, but who's around it. Two doughboys are orbiting your DeLorean. They're wearing black XXL t-shirts with clever sayings on the front. They have cargo shorts and sandals. One is wearing a fedora with Agent Smith's sunglasses, and the other has a ponytail and a con badge. You know what's coming. The questions. You thought, oh, I'm not gonna be a dick. No, I'm gonna answer every question that everybody has. I will take the time and answer their questions no matter what. But that was 2 years ago and 8 car shows ago. You're tired. You just want to go home and drink your beer and play Age of Empires: The Conqueror's expansion. And here they saw you. Oh, they saw you. Now they're turning. Now they're looking at you. And now you got to walk toward them. Here we go. Here come the and you have them loaded. Oh, you can tell they're loaded up with their questions, and here they come. All right, let's get this over with. 1983, it doesn't have one. He was acquitted. No, it doesn't. They open easy. I'd like to let you, but I gotta go. Are you ready for that? emceeing a panel discussion at every Valero, because that's what you're in for if you're gonna buy a Stage-2. And daily that thing like you said you would. And you better be nice. Look, I'm not saying that a DeLorean is not a regular car and it's not something you should own or should not own, but there is a certain artful simplicity to it, even though you're going to have to talk about this car all the time. Not unlike Norma Jean, who was every bit as beautiful as Marilyn, even though no one ever noticed. The DeLorean is far from perfect, and it's even far from commonplace, but wrapped up in all that surface complexity is something we all want. Hell, part of why we reviewed the DeLorean again was to get a more down-to-earth perspective, and now that we're over being starstruck by it, this is an attempt at honesty, to meet a car on its own terms and hold it to its own standards. Maybe there were other actresses more beautiful than Marilyn Monroe, but few were more iconic, stamped with the hyperbole of pop culture semiotics and the images and associations that follow. On the surface, the DeLorean is Marilyn Monroe, but under the hood, it's Norma Jean. An unassuming, artless person looking to be understood and to be appreciated on the terms of its normality, without having to put on airs, without having to be on all the time. The DeLorean wants the same thing we all want: consideration. The nicest DeLorean probably in existence. Wow.
So you're in reverse right now.
Okay.
So just put it in neutral. Now to go, first is normal. First, second, third, it's a 5-speed. To go into reverse, if you need reverse, from neutral, pull the shifter up like you're pulling it out. Yep, and now all the way left and down. Huh. That's reverse.
So it won't. So now it's in second. If I just do it normal.
Yeah, it's a lockout, so you're not going to accidentally end up in reverse.
Huh.
Yep.
So you're having a fulcrum here. You got a. Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, instead of having that ring that some
there's
cars
no ring,
say,
you just pull the whole shifter up.
Huh. Interesting.
So this one has been changed to 140 mile an hour speedometer instead of the original 85 mile an hour speedometer.
Mm-hmm.
And the miles are accurate.
What is this?
That is the dash light dimmer knob.
Nowhere near the dash.
Nowhere near the dash. And in fact, it goes from off to very dim. Those are your only options. The headlights, you don't need, obviously, but the horn still does the horn thing. You press it in. Yep. And that's it. You lock the doors using this.
Right
here. My hand is up here.
Oh, right, because they're electric.
They're hydraulic.
Wow. Yeah. OBKB.
It's got the cock seat belts. All right, so you good?
I'm good.
Handbrake off?
Oh yeah, and his had it on here.
Yeah, there's like 4 different doors. Then 81 doors were wrapped here, and then they moved them off the handle for 83 because it was tearing the leather off.
Nice. Oh boy.
Harder.
I gotta do it harder.
A little harder. There you go.
I am alone in Matt Farah's DeLorean. I am driving Matt Farah's DeLorean in California. I am shifting Matt Farah's DeLorean in California.